Good morning. Sorry about that. Not sure if this is working well. Looks like it's live now. It gave me a error code a moment ago. So is anyone online? I'll give it a few moments. Oh goodness, it was. Whoops. Let's see. Delete post. Okay. Hope this didn't. Oh, hi, Tracy. Good. It's working. Dina. Good morning. So I'm running a few minutes late. I was getting an error message that this feed was not getting enough bandwidth. Can everyone hear me okay? Good morning, Hella. Or good evening. Lawrence, hey, how are you, man? Thanks for joining in. So today I'm going to introduce briefly, I hope, the theme for the week. In this Soul Lab group, I'm venturing to, in a sense, offer what I do in my practice and what I do in my trainings to offer a way to explore yourself and celebrate yourself in an elemental way, in what I would consider an alchemical way, which is really all about awakening to the truth of who you are and seeing yourself from a bit different vantage point than maybe you're used to. So, yeah, that's the goal. So far it's been, I think, working fairly well, although I feel some challenges with this vertical format. Certainly an x-axis would be nice to add to the y-axis of all of this, preferably a z-axis, but I think we can make that happen in this work somehow, maybe a bit through here. Good morning, Nikki. Can you guys hear me okay? Can anyone text and let me know? Am I looking at text? No. Okay. Well, I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay. So let me just introduce briefly this week. Lori, good morning. Jan, good morning. So what we have going here on the Soul Lab group, as I conceive it, is an opportunity. Drew, good morning, man. So again, what I see this Soul Lab group, even in this format, being about is giving you a week of exploration and discovery of different aspects of who you are, who you're becoming, and what it is that you're focusing on or not focusing on. So each week we have a different theme. And if you look at the files up above, you'll see that there are some rantings and writings that I put down with some neat little diagrams of this circle and pie chart looking thing. It looks sort of like between a medicine wheel and a astrological wheel. And over the years, I've been working on this for, I don't know, 18 years or so. It's been an obsession. But I've been using it in my practice for a long time, and for myself as a way to sort of create a dashboard. You know, I use dashboards a lot in my practice, but it's become a bit of a navigator for me to sort of calm the chaos of this alchemical journey that we're all on. If I endeavor to support another person in finding their way, it doesn't really pay to have them spiral out into any of the elements, whether it's emotions or big vision and spiritual inspiration, or being bogged down in physical ailments, or the physicality of the all too humanness, the need to organize your life, or even the cognitive parts of being too much in your head. Oh, good. Okay, it's talking to me. Okay, good. I don't see any comments. I wonder why I'm not seeing them. Huh. Okay. So anyway, so the goal of this is to really inspire a form of meditation or introspection, giving a break from your regular feed on Facebook at the very least. We started off in the fire realm, and we started off at the height of the fire realm. If you looked at that wheel, you'll see that the beginning of fire is where we meet at this high inspired state, this place where we have this big vision, a hypothesis of a new way, something that gets us up in the morning and gets us out and willing to turn on our brains and our hearts and our computers and be in the world. So the fire part of it, phase one, as I see it in this model, is really about identifying as the hero, the adventurer, the one who has a reason for being, that has a unique purpose, a unique plan for the world, some fire within them that's inspiring you to go out into the world and make good stuff happen, make a difference, bring something unique, a unique expression into the world. So in the beginning, there is this real fiery self-identification that can help us come out of our center, where it's nice and cozy, safe and secure, where everything from our highest aspiration to our lowest nature is sort of safely there in the center where no one can get to. The fire is really about illuminating that and broadcasting that out to the world, driving us out of our center. So that's phase one. Phase two is when you actually follow through. In Joseph Campbell's work, there is this, in the beginning is the adventure and the call to adventure. And then immediately after that is the refusal of the call. And that's when we go out of our doors and say, I'm really going to do this. This is great. I really see this wonderful thing I can express or create in the world. And then you turn back in because maybe it's raining or snowing outside, or maybe because you have a lot of self-doubts or something like that. So there's a lot of shadows that can come up even in just exploring who you are. First week we had this, it was all about inspired, who are you? I saw so many shadow things come up for a lot of people, including myself, that came back. And that's the kind of yin and yang of all of these areas. They're nothing, we can caricaturize them, we can kind of put them in a map or a navigator, but they certainly aren't the terrain. So part two of fire was last week, and that was where we go out into the world and actually express. So fire one is like this vector, this force that comes from us, this spirit of fire that says, get off your ass and do something really cool in the world. The middle part, in astrology, they show us a dot with a circle all around. And that's a part where we're actually in it. Maybe you were inspired to get into a graduate program and then now you're in it. So the middle part is really about now exploring, discovering, living it out. And that's where we come across all sorts of challenges in the world. We have an inspired vision for our lives. We know, God, I really feel like I can make a difference in the world. I know that all of these skills that I've learned over my life, as seemingly disparate and disconnected as they might be, all of these things about me seem to have something deeper to say about who I am and what I want to be in the world. And I want to explore that. In fact, I'm going to take a risk and actually put myself out there because this new thing is calling me, and it's harder to not pursue that than it is to just go out there and be vulnerable and put myself out there and actually live into it. So then you start to get the feedback, right? That's when you start to, you know, you share your inspiration with another person, and either, you know, they look with surprise like, I have no idea what you're talking about, or instead they may look at you and say, oh my God, I completely resonate with that. I'm so glad you said that, because I've been thinking it too, or I've been feeling this way too, and I haven't had anyone to share it with until you had the courage to come out and express this, or bring this out. So there's a lot of opportunities here, and I think what we're looking for in the middle of the fire realm, in astrology they look at it as the house of Leo, and Leo is known as the playful actor, the theater, you know, the thespian, right? The loving to be on stage, loving to be a part of something bigger, a bigger creation, a bigger act, a bigger, you know, production. And it's in astrology, it's in the house of play. And I love astrology now that I'm getting my head around it a little bit, because it's showing us something beyond this sort of divination process, which I think has some interesting stuff to say, or at least in terms of it showing us something about our algorithm, who we are, however that works. You know, simulation hypothesis, anyone. So, you know, astrology is showing us that it's showing us alchemy. This was an ancient system, said anybody that knows how to read into this stuff can see, or they shall learn, that what this is really about is a coded way of expressing the stages that we go through to develop ourselves. And those with eyes to see and ears to hear will get it and say, oh, well, these are metaphors, these are symbols. But really what they are about is about tapping into a living dynamic, the hero first of all, but then the middle of it all is expression, creativity, play. And so they're giving us a little bit of a hint about, once you get out into the world with your heroic vision, don't get all tight about it. It's about living intuitively. You know, Burning Man would, I'm imagining, would be a perfect expression of that. Where you just go out into it and you play, and you're inspired by everyone else's creations, and there are these ephemeral, momentary bursts of creativity blasting out there, and it's play. And there's so much coming in that your brain just can't grok it, but it's coming in. And on some level, you're integrating, you're digesting all of this on a level that may take months or years or a long time to digest, but it is. The experience is the thing. It's not about information in terms of intellectual information, although that can serve to catapult us out into the world, to experience the world, and to help us understand, give us guideposts to understand what we are experiencing. The intellectualization, all the words and the rest, are only symbols. They're only symbolic formations. They are not going to impress the right brain very much. They're not going to impress the feminine, inductive, big part of us that says, this is the wisdom that you've gained from this. This is the learning. Not as much as you actually experience it. In order to do that, we have to go out and put ourselves out there. We have to buy the ticket and take the ride, right? So that's second part of fire. That's, you know, that's living it. Third part of fire is what we're entering into this week. And third part of fire is, if I were to say in terms of astrology, which does help. I mean, this has only been a few years that I've applied astrology. I've woven it into the model that I use, and it works. Not only does it work beautifully, which was so wonderfully surprising, but it takes it to another level. And all of a sudden I'm seeing, oh my God, they knew a lot. And I'm learning. Anyway, so Fire 3 is, in astrology, is in the 9th house. And the 9th house is about higher education. It's about, what else? Higher education. It's about learning. It's about spiritual integration. It's about, what else? There's all kind of good stuff. I'm going to read really quickly something. In astrology, I need my glasses. I'm 50. Okay. In astrology, they say it's ruled by the planet Jupiter. Now, they do say that it's a house of faith and ritual. In terms of Jupiter, and I'm reading from a great book called Western Astrology and Chinese Medicine. Awesome book by Jonathan Klauckstown. Anyway, Jonathan. Okay, so let this just sink in for a second and kind of give a sense of the flavor of the week ahead. And when you focus on your rituals and what you put your faith in and that sort of thing, and your kind of higher spiritual integration, this might help. Jupiter in a chart represents an ability to grow in physique and understanding. It has to do with our ability to visualize and to imagine, to hope and to have faith. Future-oriented, it carries risk. It governs expansion through growth, exploration, and an urge towards something larger than ourselves, whether it be a group or a fortune. It has much to do with the spatial right side of our brains. It represents our capacity to learn how to compensate for inadequacies, to improve ourselves, to go beyond the humdrum everyday routine of life, to create movement and excitement and visions of vistas new. I like that. Okay, cool. So, and consulting all of these books in order to get my head around it, it became clear that they were all speaking to something rather important, and each one had a little something to say about it. That's what I love about this work, is it never ends in terms of exploring. So, Fire 3, here we are, right? Spiritual integration, inspiration. If the first part of fire, again, was a vector like an arrow shooting up in the sky, big fireworks, I'm going to do this, life is great, my God, I'm going to save the world. And phase 2 is about, oh Lord, I'm in it. Okay, I've got to deal with it. Okay, what do I do? How do I do this? Who's going to help me? What resources are out there? What's around? What does the world need? How can I fit this into what already exists? How can I learn from the past so I can do my new thing in a good way? All of those good things play into it. Third phase of fire, and that would be like a circle. You know, things cycling, right? First phase, an arrow. Second phase, a circle. Third phase is a mutable phase. It's a transitional phase which creates a spiral. You have a circle of all the world around you, and you have a vector of a will that says, I don't want to just be here for no reason. I don't just want to show up at Burning Man for no reason, but I actually have a goal in mind. I have an intention behind this, right? Or something willing me to do it. So with this intention, with this world around you, the circle around you, it creates a spiral. That's sort of the metaphor, the symbolic metaphor for phase 3. So here we are in phase 3. So I would have just a few questions to pose to you in considering your experience, because this isn't about an exposition of what I believe. It's really in hopes of learning a way to instigate your own exploration, your own meditation or journaling process in this. And just to give yourself a week, at least for a moment, to honor this unique part of your experience. And this unique part for week 3 is about what you put your faith in, what rituals you have, how are you integrating at this time in your life, right? So first thing is, the question I would have for you is, if you were to have a piece of paper in front of you and write down what you put your faith in. And this again is coming from phase 2, which is going out and exploring the world and seeing what's there. Phase 3 is saying, I got it, I'm going to take that on, I believe it, I love the Taoist work, or I love cognitive behavioral work, and I'm going to put my faith in that, and I'm going to become a student, a teacher, a devotee to this higher way of knowing, or this specific way of knowing. So the question is, again, what are you putting your faith in right now? And what is getting in the way, possibly, of that faith? Maybe even just write it down and you can come back to it, or maybe just it comes to you like that, right? The next part of it would be, what are your rituals? I have a lot of clients come in and they're, in a sense, confessing unhealthy rituals and saying, and using it as a way to sort of say, I'm a bad person, or I'm dysfunctional, or I'm this, or I'm that. It's something that they see, well, you know, I can't really be what I think you are because I don't have this discipline, or I don't have this capacity to do this. And to that, I look at the things that they consider shadow activities in their lives, and I remind them, or at least awaken them to the reality that this is their ritual, and that in some way or another we're always doing ritual, right? Somehow we're always engaging some form of ritual in the world, and that's a part of who we are. It's a part of this pattern matching type of nature we have. It's part of our evolutionary nature. It's part of who we are as surviving beings. It plays into a lot of parts of our lives. We all do it. Some might do it in a very OCD sort of way. Others might do it in a very lackluster and sort of disjointed kind of way. Like, yeah, every once in a while I find myself doing this thing over and over again. Or, you know, on these occasions, this is what I do. So the real call to adventure here would be to maybe even put like two sides, you know, on a piece of paper. One side being conscious ritual, the other side being unconscious ritual. And then looking at them and seeing, you know, how these rituals are serving you, or they may have served you in the past in a good way, or, you know, at least in a functional way, but they're no longer serving you, and they would be kind of something nice to get your head around. And maybe in the next meditation after we do this, you can bring that unconscious ritual into this transformative process and see what it turns into, you know, frog to prince sort of thing. So, ritual. What are your rituals? What do you do? Is it wake up in the morning, you shower, you shave, you get a cup of coffee, you let the dog out, you wake up to a kid sitting on your head? What is your rituals? We think of them often in terms of these big, you know, formal things, but rituals can be very informal as well, like you know, going out and taking a deep breath, or taking a jog, or going to the gym. What are your rituals? Or Facebook, for God's sake. Sort of the inspiration behind this is that my ritual, I could not pretend, was going right onto my Facebook and looking at the feed and just getting all fucking worked up and going, Jesus Christ, it's all falling apart, and I've got to somehow say some shit so that it'll all disappear and be better. And that was a ritual for me, and it didn't work out so well, but I still have finding my way through that. So my awakening to that, saying, look, this is something I do. I do Facebook. I mean, yeah, I'm in. Yeah, I remember. Do you remember the first time you did Facebook? I was really bewildered. I had this coming from another program. What was that one with very visual, and you could share images and quotes and stuff that I like to do. But then in Facebook, it looked so alien with all the, you know, little boxes and vertical typings and people. Who are these people? What are they sharing? Who are they talking to? And but now we've all gotten so used to it that it becomes an unconscious ritual for many of us. So I wanted to take that and transform it into something positive rather than bemoaning my fate. So I began Soul Lab Group. I have been developing, anyone knows me, I've been developing this concept for Soul Lab as this aggregator and this curated site that brings all the wisdom around the medicine wheel, right? And, you know, that's my big vision, but procrastination by perfectionism is an art that I'm perfecting. So, anyway, I said, okay, this is my thing, this is what I'm doing, this is what I would like to do, this is a step that I can take that will bring me in the direction that I'm looking for. So I started the Soul Lab group, and before I knew it, within a week we had 400 people, 2 weeks we had 700, 3 weeks we have 800 and some people. Part of them, pardon me if you're one of them, is that still going good? Is that I somehow thought I was inviting you, but instead I was coercing you into this experience. So I'm sure that takes care of itself in the ways that it needs to. Anyway, what are your rituals? How are you living them? And in this instance, how do you take the rituals that might not be necessarily and go to another level? Let me see, are we good? Is everybody good? I keep getting, I think we're good. It would tell me, right? God, why don't I see like anybody saying anything. 10 people reacted to this video. Well, that's cool. I don't see it. That's fine, but I don't see it. Okay, so what are your rituals? How are you living them? What are some of the rituals that are challenging you? The goal is in this work is not to demonize the shadow stuff, but instead to be able to hold them. Because ritual and ceremony is a time to hold it all, good, the bad, the ugly, and say, you know, all of it's sacred. All of this is sacred, and my experience is sacred. Even the profane aspects, the mundane stuff, the all too human, or even the shadowy stuff. As long as I keep running from them, or I keep pretending they don't exist, or ignoring them, or feeling a victim of them, or fighting them, they're going to stay an issue. The dynamics of the way that I react to them are going to determine their nature, and their nature is going to, in many ways, determine my nature, because they find their way through. What gets out and what gets in, sort of thing. On the other hand, in ceremony and ritual, if we hold them in a good way, and we turn and face our dragons, and we breathe in and drop down out of the head and into the heart, and we see the rituals of our lives, and maybe your mind goes to the rituals that we talked about, the ones that you wish you could change, or you would like to change. Or maybe it goes all the way up to those rituals that sustain you, that transform you, that if you did not have them, this world would be a very challenging place. Those are the ones, in this moment, I would love for you to focus on. Even if it's rituals from your past, what really brings you to another level? What really illuminates a higher self for you? You know, I was walking with my daughter. That's one of my rituals, is to have walks with my kids. And yesterday, and it was a beautiful day, and she was off school, so it was really, really quite wonderful. And we were walking, and I just got this feeling. She's 8 years old, and she's growing up so fast, and I just wanted this moment to last forever. And I kept, telling myself, kind of like, Carlos Castaneda sort of thing, wake up, wake up, wake up. Be here with this. Is a beautiful moment. It's going to go. It's not going to stay. And it's so beautiful. I really, really want to be here for this. And I saw myself dropping into something that I've done for a long time in my practice and just in life, is I imagine myself as my future self remembering this experience, even though I'm in the moment. I know it's a little, there probably are easier ways, but for me this works. And I looked at my daughter, and she was laughing and telling me stories about second grade, and it was so funny. Some of it, most of it nonsensical, but very funny and good. And I saw myself as my future self being back in this moment, reliving this moment, and at the same time realizing how powerful it is that I'm actually here. I'm not remembering it, I'm living it. So that was one little mini ritual that I had to get me jump-started, to get out of my stuff and put me back into coherence with this moment, so that I can take a breath and be with this precious moment, this amazing moment. So ritual, that's what it's about. The learning that comes through is the next part of it, right? They talk about, in astrology, this being the ninth house of higher learning and higher education and spiritual integration. So this is a good time to reflect on, what are your teachers in the world? Who are your teachers in the world? The whats can be your pets, they could be your job, they can be the world. The whos can be teachers from the past, teachers from the present, people that you've read about or have read their biographies or their insights, and they really teach you at a distance, in a sense, how to be in the world in a good way. So take this time this week to just be aware of, and give a moment, send up a prayer, light a fire of thanksgiving to all those teachers in your life, all those people without which we couldn't be here in this way. All those people that we even forget the things that they taught us that we now think are somehow something that came through us. And we're all this conglomeration of what comes through us, right? So honor your teachers in this week, for this week, if you will. Next week we're going to go into water. And this is the fire realm, is kind of that Icarus flight path, right? You have this airy flight out of the labyrinth of the traps of the technological noosphere, the technosphere that we're stuck in, and you come out of it because you have these great ideas like, hey, I'm going to wake up and not be a slave to my life anymore. And then you rise up like Icarus, you finally get out, but then you get into the fire realm and you bring this inspired vision out to the world, saying, my God, I think I can fly. I think I'm flying here. And the world is designed by nature, by an alchemical truth, to burn away what was not true about you, what isn't true about you. Burn off the wax wings that may have gotten you out of a trap of an old way, but yeah, they kind of still smack a little bit of some sort of ideological or fantasy-oriented, desire-oriented fantasy or belief that, or vision that, although, good, it got you out into the world, got you doing stuff, but it's not quite the gold, right? So it'll burn away all the dross of what's not the gold. And, we could bemoan our fates and say, my God, this guy really pissed in my soup. I had this great theory and great idea, and then he came back with this challenge, and I'm like, oh my God, you just destroyed me. Well, if that's so, then that's okay. What needs to burn will burn. But what we're really looking for in third phase is the gold. What's still there? And even better, the phoenix of it, right? What's rising from the ashes of what got burned away? I like this, I like alchemy, because it gives us a new way to format our stories. We all are just a collection of stories, but the stories inform us, right? They perpetuate these old ways. There is nothing but this now, but all that now that we're in is being reverberating with these algorithms, these stories of the past that are informing the way we perceive the world and coloring our vision. And if that's good and it works, awesome, ride it. If it doesn't, Fire Realm Final Phase is a time to put that on the fire, let it burn away what's not real about it, so that it transforms into something pure and something really, really good. Good. I have no idea how long that was, but I know it's way longer than I ever think it is. So, that's Fire Realm. Let me see if I can get on my computer and see what time. Oh, I can tell. Oh God, it's 30 minutes. Someone said I should do a 7-minute video. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But if anyone has any questions, now's a good time to ask them. I'll get used to this. I'll figure out what it is how to do that, because I don't see any questions or anything, and maybe there aren't any. But thank you guys for being here. Remember this week to really hold yourself in a special way. This is about creating rituals. This is about the mutable nature of fire to transform old ways. Look at your teachers, look at your rituals, look at what you put faith into, and what you aspire to, what's coming through you, and share that on Facebook in this group, what you come up with. Just a little note on the Solab thing. I really see this as sort of a peer-to-peer sort of connection and a sharing of insight and inspiration and tools and techniques and all other stuff, because I think we really need that. And I'm not interested at this point in developing a course for that, because they're infinite. I'd much rather you guys share your gold with each other in that way, because it's well beyond anything I could do on my own. I'll share my gold. You'll see in the files there, you'll see that I share what I have, but know that it's just my offering. I'm really, really much more interested in hearing from you guys and what you have to offer and what you're sharing with each other. So far it's been phenomenal. It makes me very excited that I'm doing this. Kind of have to pinch myself occasionally. But thank you guys for being here, for being a part of this. know that no matter where you are in your practice, no matter what type of practice you have, the goal of Soul Lab, as you'll see in the model, is you have an opportunity to affect all the elements of those that you touch. My goal here is to help each of you, whether you're somatically focused, or whether you're cognitively focused, or whether you're spiritually focused, or whether you're focused on the inner worlds and emotions and that sort of watery stuff, which I do a lot of. No matter where you kind of focus your energy, my hope is that that center of how you do your work and your discipline, as you go around the wheel and look at all these unique aspects, that it'll help bring to light new ways, new ideas, new insights, and new opportunities to develop yourself. Because every time you are with another, you ripple an effect. If you think it's just body work, you're missing out. If you think it's just physical therapy, you're missing out. If you think it's just mental work, you're missing out. We are not any one thing. We're the whole gestalt. And so in this process, I'm just holding a simple way to look at all those aspects so we can explore them. All right. Thank you guys. Since I don't see any remarks here, which could be my doing, I'm certain of it, I'm going to finish now, and in just a moment I'm going to start another live, and the reason for that is that I'm going to offer a guided journey. So some have asked for that, so I thought I would do that. All right guys, thank you very much. I hope you have an awesome week, and thank you for joining.